Hello and welcome to the Scratch coding class. In this video we're going to be continuing with the beginner's guide to Scratch. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Right, today's goals: we are going to start scripts in other ways, we're going to broadcast and receive messages, we're going to use sound and volume in programs, we're going to understand how variables work, and we are actually going to create a virtual pet on Scratch. So let's get started. Okay, so if you did not check out the first two videos of the beginner's guide to Scratch, make sure to do so right now. But moving on, we know we can start scripts using the green flag clicked, and we can also start scripts in other ways. So for example, we can press any key on our keyboard and we can start the script. So this is the any one, but you can change it to only a certain key, so like only the space key and all, but I'm just going to do any key. And let's make a quick script, go to random position, and then go back to where the sprite is right now. Right, let's press the key on the keyboard. Watch my mouse do. My mouse is not at the green flag. So as you can see, the sprite still moved, but my mouse never touched the green flag. And the green flag was glowing, but that's because it signifies that the script is running. And that happens really anyway. Right, moving on, we've got when this sprite clicked, and then basically when you click the sprite. So let's do the exact same script again, and let's click on the cat, and as you can see it moves, but if we click on the bird it does nothing really, so it has to be the sprite who wrote this program. Right, moving on, we have got when backdrop switches, and this is when a backdrop switches to another backdrop, then the script can run. So let's make a quick script here. When green flag clicked, we're gonna switch backdrop to backdrop 1 to start off with. Then we can wait 1 second, go to the next backdrop, which is here, and then we can go here. When backdrop switches to backdrop 2, we can say hello, and then we can go back to the backdrop 1 again. And backdrop 2 is just a purple backdrop that I made earlier. Right, let's see what happens. There we go. It immediately says hello when the backdrop switches, and make sure you have the right backdrop here. So right now it's not going to work because it's not backdrop 2, it's backdrop 1. Okay, now that is basically most of the ways to start scripts on Scratch, apart from messaging, which we're going to get into now. So basically messaging is basically like a command from one sprite telling what another sprite is to do. So we have got a cat and a bear here. So if, for example, let's say we have like 2 phones for an example. If one phone sends a text to another phone, then that's called broadcasting the message on Scratch. And then when the other phone receives the message, and then this block on Scratch, then the script can run. So that's just basically a quick example. We're gonna use the cat and the bird today. So when green flag clicked, let's say hello, and then we can broadcast message 1. And then when this bear receives message 1, which is here, and then we can think, right, let's see what happens now. So the cat says hello, bear receives the message, it thinks. Now that's basically messaging on Scratch. The only thing we really need to know extra about this is to create your own message. You can go into new message and you can type in your own message name, and then you can access it over here. And the broadcast message and wait, you don't have to worry about it, just broadcast the message and it just waits really. It's quite self-explanatory. Right, moving on, we have got to look at sound, and there are lots of different sounds you can get on Scratch. You probably saw other people using it. I've input my own C piano in the sound library. I can show you how to access the sound library right now. So basically we can go here, go to the top, it says sounds, and then you can go down here, choose a sound, and go into the search icon, which is choose a sound, and we can choose whatever sound you want. So you can sort it up here. You can go animals, effects, loops, notes, percussion, etc. So I'm gonna choose, I did a C piano, so I'm gonna do a D piano, and you can of course see how the sound is over here. So as you can see, the meow is really loud, and you can all adjust that, but I'll probably go over that maybe in another video. So right, we're going to play sound C piano until done, then after we're going to play the sound D piano until done, and it just plays it, and then until it's done it can move on. So let's see what happens here. So as you can hear, apply the note C and then apply the note D. And you can make a whole series of these. You can maybe do the scale of C major on the piano, so it goes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So that's quite straightforward. And you can change the volume. I can't really explain this right now because it's just the recorder I use, and then when I send out the video you can't really hear it that well, but you can change the volume. So I think it's at 100% now, so you can set it down to, let's say, 20% here, and then it's just going to play it way quieter, and just change volume by -10 in, so it takes 10% off it basically, so 100% is now 90%, and so on. And the volume you can see here, but we don't have to worry about that right now. Right, moving on, we're going to look at variables, and variables can be found down here in this orange section. Now you're probably thinking, where is the variable? There is no variable. Well, the variable isn't shown yet. You can show it using this blue tick here, and it basically shows up, and you can hide it by pressing on that again, so it is hidden. Now you can use these blocks to show or hide the variable. So this is show and this is hide. I'm going to keep it shown so you can see what's happening. And a variable, what is a variable? Well, a variable is like a suitcase of data. It's basically, it carries one value and you can change that value anytime you need to. So I'm going to make a quick demonstration here. Change my variable by 1. So this basically adds 1 onto the variable. So it changes it by 1. And this set is actually, it just sets a value. So let's say we set it to 9. It's going to stay at 9. So it's not going to change. But if I change it, it goes up. So I hope you understand that. This is basically like a plus or a minus, and the set, it just sets a certain value onto it. And just a couple more things about variables. You can change the way you read the variable, so you can right click on it, and then there's a normal readout, which is what it is right now, and large readout, which is just the number itself. You can't see the name of the variable, and a slider, which you can just adjust the value of the variable, like so. And you can change the slider range, and the minimum value is 0, the maximum value is 100, but you can change that. I'm just gonna click OK. We don't have to worry about the slider. I don't find myself using it all that much, but it's just nice to know that it's there. Okay, that is basically variables explained. Apart from creating your own variables, you can go into here and you can make your own variable, and you can call it whatever you want. And this for all sprites. All the sprites can access that one variable, but for this sprite only the cat can access the variable. So usually we just use all sprites anyway when we code variables for games. Okay, that is basically all I wanted to cover today. So now we can look at creating a virtual pet on Scratch. Okay, so we're going to create a virtual pet on Scratch now. What we're going to do is we're going to choose a nice backdrop, then we're going to choose a good sprite. Doing the dog here, and then we're going to put the dog on top of the garden rock like so. Okay, now we need to create features for the dog to use. I'm going to do a bell, and then we put the bell down here, and then what we can do is when the sprite is clicked, we can broadcast a message, and when the sprite receives the message, we want the dog to glide over to the bell, so we can use this glide block, and then we can glide back again. And finally, we need to play a sound. I'm going to choose a sound from the library. Bell symbol, that's perfect. Go into sound, play sound bell symbol until done, then glide. So what it's going to do, it's going to glide to the bell, play the sound, then glide back again. Let's see what happens. Perfect. Okay, now moving on, we're going to create a trampoline for the dog. What we're going to do is we need to go down here in the library. There's trampoline. Perfect. We'll go down. Move the trampoline to a good position, and we'll put the trampoline down there, and basically we need to do the exact same with what we did with the bell. So when the sprite click broadcast message, and we need to create a new message. I'm going to call it trampoline, and make sure you're naming your messages appropriately on Scratch, because if you have, let's say, 10 messages, you call it a message 1, message 2, message 3, message 4. It's really impossible to know what message does what, so make sure you think of a good name for it. So broadcast trampoline, and then when I receive trampoline, we can go over to the trampoline. So the trampoline is here, glide. Then we have finally a use for this Y. block we learned in the last video. So change y by 20, then we can change y by -20, and then we can go over to control, use a wait block, we'll wait 0.2 seconds, and we'll do a repeat loop 4 times. And we can put that in there, and put that in there, perfect. So that is basically our trampoline, and then we want it to glide back to its starting position, like so. Right, let's see what happens. We click on trampoline, it jumps, and then it moves back again. Perfect. Now you can create more features for your sprite, but I'm going to do one last one. It's not really for the sprite, it's just for the user to keep an eye on, and it is first, because the dog needs to drink water. So we're going to make a variable, we're going to hit first for all sprites. And then what we're going to do is we need to set the variable to 0 to start off with. So when green flag click set first to 0, we're going to do a forever loop, and every 10 seconds, no, maybe not every 10 seconds, let's go every 9 seconds, then the first can go up by 1. So change first by 1. And then what we can do now is we can make a when this sprite is clicked, then we can broadcast a message for the sprite to move to the border. So I'm gonna call this move border, and then when we go back to the dog, when I receive move border, then we basically need to get it to glide over to the border. And I'm doing this a bit more complicated because I want the border to actually control the sprite's drinking. Then we can say broadcast a message back to the border to say, or in fact, what if we just do a wait block for 1 second to save another message. So broadcast move border, wait 1 second, and then after we can switch the costume to the next costume, which is the empty glass. But before we do that, we need to play a sound. I have got the sound play border drop until done. Then we can move on to the next costume. We can change the first by -1, and ideally we want the first to set 0 when we are playing with this, and then change first by -1. Then we can broadcast a message back to the sprite, and then we can say where we find the message there, and then you go move. Let's call this move back. So move back, and finally we also want we want the sprite to move to the next costume after a few seconds. We want the glass of water to refill, so I'm going to do every 2 seconds, then go back to the next costume. Perfect. Now we can go back to the dog. We can go to move back, and then we'll move back. We can basically just use this glide block to glide to its original position. Right, let's see what happens now. So we're going to play. Let's just try out some of these features. Wait for the sprite to get thirsty. Wait, first is at 1, we go over to the border, we drink, and then the first goes back to 0, the border refills, and that is perfect. So that is how you basically create a virtual pet on Scratch. Right, let's give the dog another drink. Perfect. So you can add more features on, you can be creative with your ideas, and you can also check lots of tutorials online, and lots of people can do better virtual pets than what I did today. But we're going to leave it there for today. So thank you so much for watching this video of the beginner's guide to Scratch, and if you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.